Ah, welcome, Meenadchi. So glad you're here.
How are you?
Good, good. I'm going to give a little personal introduction and then share your bio, and then we'll jump in.
Oh,
Ah, so I discovered Meenadchi about 2 years ago. She gave a workshop that was actually hosted by Elise Preston, who some of you met yesterday, on what was it? Something about healing and family systems, constellation, money, trauma. I just remember I had like these three objects and you move them around and you're like, this is what this ancestor thought. This was that this ancestor thought. This is what you really want to be. Anyway, thought she was amazing. I've been on her list ever since. And she also was on my summit a year and a half ago about love and power for Gaza, and shared about talking to people, family members, and others across political difference, and especially about choosing how much you're able to take on. Which was really special. Um, and Meenakshi, oh, and well, yes, and I was a special and the inspired to invite her to come talk about something she says in most of her emails, which is good things are coming, and it is good that we are here. And let me just see what else to be shared from the official write-up. So Meenakshi is a healing practitioner, TEDx speaker, and the author of Decolonizing Nonviolent Communication, a widely respected guide that reinterprets traditional NVC through a somatic and trauma-informed lens. With a background in clinical mental health and a commitment to ancestral healing, Meenakshi brings over a decade of facilitation experiences to spaces that seek to center collective care, relational integrity, and embodied communication. Her signature facilitation style integrates somatic awareness, values-based inquiry, and ancestral technologies to support deep transformation. Her work guides learners to move beyond scripted language into communication and connection that honors dignity, integrity, and interdependence. And yeah, choosing hope in these times. Hmm. So yeah, so what does it mean? What does it mean to choose hope in these times, in the face of fascism, in the face of terror, in the context of genocide in other countries? What does it mean to choose hope?
is that a tangible question for me?
It's a
Mm.
question you said you wanted to be asked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tangible question, not just a rhetorical question.
Floating in the
It could have been, it could have been. But no, it was a tangible question for you.
Oh my gosh. I think of hope as a choice. Miriam Kaba says that hope is a discipline.
Hmm.
Um, and anything that requires discipline is something that we have to practice. And sometimes you start small before you get big. And at its core, I think about choosing hope as just looking for what's good, as we acknowledge what's not working and as we acknowledge what wants to change and what needs to change. Also being in a practice of orienting our brains and our bodies and our spirits to what is going well so that we don't drown in what has been, but that any kind of creative, organizing, community building work we're doing is genuinely oriented towards creating the thing that we want to see.
It's really moving. And I want to address a tech thing. We hear you and you're just a tiny bit distorted.
Is it better if I do this?
It is.
So
And
much better.
I
I know
know I
sometimes,
know it's
yeah.
gonna be it's annoying to
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
do.
yeah. No, but
Yeah.
I'm so happy. I'm so
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, and that's what I always get from that, good things are coming and it's good that we're here, right? It's like orienting to the little pieces or the bigger pieces, but orienting to the pieces that are good.
Mm.
Yeah. And I guess I also want to ask, like, why hope? Like,
Oh. You know, um, why not? You know, like, like, why not? Like, if the world
yeah.
is crashing, like, why not? Why not pretend it will go well? Um, I think that, there's a lot of different, I had seen on TikTok probably a year plus ago. Most of us have some version of a running narrative in our heads of like all the things that could crash and all the way things are going to go bad. And there was some creator who had made something that was just like, what if everything turns out well? What if everything works out for you? What if the universe is rooting for you? Like, and it was just such a lovely switch of the script, like a flip of the script. Um, and again, this is not to bypass, ignore, or deny. It's just if we have free will, we have a choice about what's running through my brain. And if what's running through my brain, A, shapes my experience of the world, and B, then shapes how I show up in the world, why not? Why not choose hope? Like,
Mm,
and I do think that there's a certain amount of healing work that maybe wants to be done before that feels fun and playful. I think that there's a place for being in rage. There's a place for being in grief. I don't know that we can effectively live in those places and bring good into the world. I think it's really challenging
mm,
to just live in those places for many, many years. It has a corrosive effect. Um, yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking of have you read Viktor Frankl talking about hope? Yeah.
I haven't, but I know his
Know
work.
about
I
him.
have
Yeah.
read Man's Search for Meaning. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if I read this, but I absorb things people around me read. And my former partner Sarah read him talking about hope, and he said to basically no hope, like under terrible conditions. If you have no hope, people would die, right? Hope that what he called hope with a deadline, but I think we could call it attached hope, and
Yeah.
people would die, right? Like we'll be out by this holiday, and you weren't,
Mm.
then people would die a few weeks later, right?
Uh-huh.
Because these were conditions where, I mean, even when people weren't being put, because sorry, people who don't know Viktor Frankl, he was in the death camps in World War II. The Nazi, he was in enough Nazi death camp, and some people were released, and he created a psychology of choice, I guess. We even in the worst conditions, we can choose who we're being. But he found that people who had so this was people who were on the edge of starvation, all kinds of terrible things happening. I'm not talking about they died because they were put to death. They died because it required fighting to stay alive, right? You had to fight to survive. The people who survived were people who had broad hopes. Like, I need to stay alive to see my sister again, or I need to stay alive to write a novel, were the two examples he gave. So I'm thinking, yeah, well, first of all, we need the hope if we're going to create anything, right? And then I'm also thinking those of us who are in safer situations, bringing action, what it's something we can do, and we have to think that it's worth it, or we won't. What? No. Did I hit stop recording? Sorry. That was so strange. I'm just gonna see. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Clinging to a need for purpose inspired their efforts to survive, which is why his book was, I think it's about meaning. One of the reasons it's about meaning. Yeah. And you sort of like, you said there's a difference between bypassing and hope. Like, how do you encourage people to hold both the pain of the moment and the sort of gratitude of the moment?
What a really good question. It's interesting because when you said gratitude for the moment, there was a part of my body that was like, oh. But I think that is the math, right? That is the thing. Um, so one of the things that I encourage people to do is just to look for one good thing that happens each day. And like really, really simple. You can see a piece of bird shit on the ground and you can think, how disgusting. That almost hit me. That's terrible. Or you can think, how awesome that I happened to walk here after the shit had already fallen.
Mm.
Or you can think, how awesome that birds are having bowel movements. I love a good bowel movement. Like, go bird. You know what I mean? Like, there's a range of thoughts that you can have.
Or
And
how awesome that I live near birds,
how awesome
which
that
is
I
the
live
one that
near
I went to.
birds. How awesome that I live near birds. I'm actually I know we're not quite at the interactive portion yet, but if people have other thoughts, like of what might pass through your brain for better or for worse, toss them in the chat thread if you're like just out walking and you see a bit of bird shit somewhere. Um, because I
I
think
saw
it's,
someone's that was a really beautiful color because a bird had just eaten a berry.
yeah, right?
Lynn, awesome that the bird fertilizes plants.
We're in the cycle of life. There's proof that there is impact and connection everywhere. Um, but I think that that is a practice. So look for one thing that has gone well. And then I think it requires a bit of community and resonance to be able to metabolize grief, to be able to metabolize rage. Like spaces like this, right? Like the reasons that we're all here are to be able to find some of that hope through connection. Recently, I was reminded that sometimes it's not actually about finding an answer because maybe there's no answer to be found, but there's just a being together in the thick of it. So finding places where you can be together, where we can be together.
Yeah, yeah. And right, it's good that we're here. Yeah, yeah. And I'm also hearing sort of inductive proof. Like if you see a couple of good things, we can be reminded that, oh my goodness, maybe we'll add this to the playlist for tomorrow. There's a Dire Straits song called Why Worry? And it's like there will be laughter after pain, there will be sunshine after rain. These things have always been the same. So why worry now?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, I grew up near a duck pond. There's goose shit everywhere. And it's the privilege of living near a beautiful man-made pond surrounded by Japanese trees that were gifted and decades ago to the university that I live near. And just, yeah. No. And there's another question here. Oh, well, no, they're all the same question. How do we find hope in the context of so much grief? And okay, but let's like going to the question of spiritual bypassing. Like, what does it look like? Like, when, like, okay, actually, why are people tempted to bypass? And what does that look like? And how is it different from finding hope and gratitude?
Um, I think that there's some quality of the energy of bypassing. So spiritual bypassing is like, I think one of the thing that defines bypassing is simply not meeting somebody where they're at, right? So if I can live in this world and I feel super oriented towards things are really going to be like, I have deep trust that things are going to be okay. And then I hang out with you, Alice, and you're like, things are crumbling and are going to be like, it is going to be disastrous for every generation moving forward. I could have a variety of responses. Um, what I have seen happen is I have seen people tell others, you're doing this wrong. You're thinking about this like you're the
I'm
problem. Like,
smiling because
yeah, I know, because I
one
also
more
like
example.
I'm also like, yes, go.
We'll come back to that.
But I have essentially seen people say things like your mindset is the problem, you know,
Mm,
and that's unfair and it's sort of inaccurate and it's also not very helpful. It's not very, you know, and there's like, you know,
it doesn't bring people to that other mindset.
it doesn't. And I would say it can if there's enough trust in the relationship. Like
Mm,
if there's truly enough trust in the relationship. I had a teacher once whose words like stick with me often, but I had been working pretty hard on some emotional spiritual work. And I was like, it's not doing like it's not, you know what I mean? And he just looked at me and he was like, try harder. I was like,
sure, sure,
but
sure.
but like
Like
we
if
had
anybody's done the landmark forum, it's a lot of get off it, right? Yeah.
sure. But that is an example where we had enough trust that that hit that was effective. That was like, yeah, okay. Right. But if you don't have enough trust, then those words will just feel incredibly painful and demotivating. Um, so I think a lot of it comes back to what's the quality of trust that exists between people. Um, and
Yeah.
also letting one person have their experience while you have a different experience.
Yeah. And we have different experiences on all the levels, right? We have different actual experiences. We're in different places. We take in different information. We interpret it differently. We've got different emotional footprint. We've got different capacity at the moment. And yeah, I mean, yeah. Wow. And yeah, and I'm also so okay. Rather than me saying, I can ask, and what could somebody do if you see somebody saying there's no hope and your belief is that there is? Like what could you do to connect and move that conversation?
Do you want to do a little role play?
We'll do it.
Okay, you're gonna be that person. I'm gonna be me. We'll see how it goes.
Okay. Okay, sure. And
Yeah.
I'll do something real, which is
Yeah.
I think this is the end of American democracy. I don't think there's any way back.
Is that a bad thing?
Uh I think yes. Yeah. Well,
Mm.
I do I think so. I don't think there's any way back. I think we're heading to like decades, if not centuries, of like empire and rule by the sword. And
Oh,
like, if I'm looking at the end of the Roman democracy, what that led to.
I'm not well enough versed in history. What did it lead to?
Oh, it led to 1,000 years of empire.
Hmm. And what happened after that?
What happened after that? The being overrun by the Huns, and then the dark age, quote unquote dark ages, so the like theocracy of the Holy Roman Empire.
Yeah.
um yeah, so it was almost 2,000 years before like there was any kind of people-led form of governance in that region.
Mm. Can I offer a thought?
Yeah,
Maybe. Maybe.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah. What would a world look like if we chose differently?
Hmm. Well, we could definitely have a world of connection and adventure and everyone mattering. I feel like that's an option. I don't know
I'm
if it's
gonna,
available, but it's
uh-huh.
imaginable.
It's an option. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. I'm gonna pause our little role play here if that's okay for you. And then we
Yeah, yeah,
might,
yeah.
yeah, chat a bit. How did that feel for you?
Uh, at first I was like, God, she's making me prove everything. And then you're like, maybe. I'm like, yeah, might happen, might not happen. Um, and I sort of got like how much my despair is hinging on prediction.
And
And yeah, and imagining like what else could happen. Like I had freedom to do that. It didn't make me feel like I had to say it's going to happen, right?
yeah.
Um, yeah, it kind of leaves me with a wider field, right? Like to
Mm.
listen for this things going this way, or listen for things going this way, or something else, instead of just like, oh, dread, despair, look at all of this, oh my God. Yeah.
It felt, can I share how it was for me?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I felt so like interestingly kind of like taken aback. Like, oh, and it really was like a maybe. Like, I don't know that I think that part of having hope requires or there's within a practice of hope, I think there's an invitation to acknowledge how little we know. I don't, I I don't know. Like Mama Universe is playing some type of game. She's doing a thing. You know what I mean? And like,
Yeah.
we think we're out here, I don't know, playing Operation, but really I'm just like the little dice in the trouble. That's, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I don't know.
Oh
It's like, Deepak Chopra talks a lot about being very carefree. And I think about being carefree as being different from being careless.
my God. Hmm.
But this, I really don't know. And so, like, when you were kind of like citing some of these historical facts, I was like, oh, maybe that is actually what's ahead. And maybe there are butterfly effect pivot points that we can choose, or maybe we'll keep choosing the same thing. I don't know. Um,
And maybe there are butterfly pivot points that nobody chooses, but that will just happen. Somebody's going to trip over a
yeah,
rock and it's going to change the course of something. Yeah.
yeah. But what I do know is that in my day-to-day experience, it feels better to live in possibility. Mm. So then I'll choose that. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. So what I was going to do is, why don't you share about your free gift? We'll see if there are questions in chat we want to do anything about, see if folks have any questions for you.
Mm.
Um, just, share free gift, go into interactive part, and then we'll share the gift again at the end.
Okay. So a goodie that I got for y'all is a little ancestral healing activity for folks who are, thank you so much. Um, we're all coming from lineages that are carrying different amounts of baggage and we're aware of different things. And so this is a small somatic activity to help shift and release some of that. And then Alice, will you remind me what else you invited me to speak to or share just now?
Is there anything in the people put in the chat that we want to?
Oh, there's some, I mean,
Yeah.
all that birds and beetles, birds and beetles. I was like, come on, beetles. Such good stuff. Um, yeah, and then I think Heather's putting in a lot of questions. About who we are and what we mean when we say any of these things. Mm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm. Heather, do you want to? You don't have to, and do you want to come off? Do you want to come off mute and raise, like,
Sure.
yeah,
Hi, I'm Heather. Sorry, I'm in
Heather.
Hawaii, and so it started at 4 a.m. and then I went on last night.
Ooh.
I think you were on last night, right? And the hours just haven't worked. So then I just happened to click the link to say, oh, maybe they're on. So
And we are on. Julio, can you spotlight Heather? There she is.
So I just joined right around the beetle section or the birds. So I kind of missed a lot. So, but I really appreciated what you have shared and what I have heard. And I guess when I hear the hopelessness and things about democracy, I am torn because I do feel like actually, I mean, I don't want the division of our country and so much us versus them, and that's where I kind of don't believe in the two parties, so to say. So because I think that, but I also internally have had this as a great opportunity for me to see how much I have been affected by control and domination, and how those things have occurred, even in my family. So I guess I feel like that's my hope, is that other people are going to be able to have that transformation so they can have the autonomy, so they can create the life that is, more filled with collaboration, so to say, and connectedness. How does that land for you after what you shared and your role play?
I'll let Meenadchi share
Yeah,
first.
I'll ask questions. Heather, I'm curious. Do you want other people to have a particular transformation so that their experience of life will be different? Or do you want other people to have a transformation so that you can have a different experience of your life with them in it?
Well, I would say my purpose in life is, well, I think I was born a mirror, and that most of my family didn't like what they saw, so to say, and that I luckily had autonomy and truth, and that was, I guess I call that my spirit, but I think that's my inner child, or my knowingness that I was born into in this world. So that can be very vague, and I'm very clear of what it is. Like Buddhism calls it the emptiness. I mean, there's a lot of different descriptions of the same thing. Are you tracking that?
I think so. I mean, what I'm hearing is that you were born into a family that has a particular set of behaviors, and you were fortunate enough to be tapped in pretty early to like your own gifts and your clarity. So you've been able to follow a track that gave you an aspect of autonomy that felt light. I think that's what I heard just now.
Yeah, but there's the double bind, right? Because I want to honor my parents and be part of my family, but it hurts and is painful when it's domination and controlling.
Yeah.
Which is our country right now, right? Like
So, yeah.
there are I mean, it's easier to be controlling in a domination system when your goal is to make money or whatever your goal is, but that's an easy one that most people have. To have collaboration and to listen to people, it's like, oh, they talk too much, or I don't like what they're saying, or, it takes, and even people that I work with in demonstrations, they'll be like, there's too many chiefs, not enough Indians. And it's like, well, but that's, if we can't even figure out how to collaborate a poster, using that as an example, like you can see how it'd be more difficult to collaborate in a governmental system, right? Like, so I feel like I see both sides.
Mhm. Can I ask some questions?
Okay.
Okay. They might get uncomfortable. Are you ready?
No, yeah, I am ready. Well, I feel like I'm ready, but I will say, like, I already feel caught in the middle of a lot of political conversations. So I have some clarity, but
Yeah.
more revealed is all I'm saying. Go.
Okay.
I actually stay out of political conversations because
Yeah.
um I feel like my mind is already complex enough.
Yeah.
These are,
Yeah.
you know, complex and personal things, that I'm in our country, we're grown up, don't talk about church and politics, right? So, okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay. First question is, are you Indigenous or do you do a lot of organizing with Indigenous communities?
Yes, I'm between Hawaii and Montana. I'm definitely, yes.
Okay, cool.
And then I studied
Yes.
an Ayurvedic practitioner, so I feel like it's all indigenous teachings, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Um, um, I think that I'm curious about what your opinion is about pain.
Well, my personal experience was that I was born with a lot of obstacles. I was adopted. I had a lot of pain. But for me, I felt neglected, I guess, easy to say. But that brought me to my spiritual connection.
Uh-huh.
So I think it's a warning sign for me. Like or I guess, yeah, that's my guide. Why is that important to me, or why am I experiencing this, so I can
Yeah,
check in and process.
copy. Okay, cool. I think the reason that I asked that is because you were talking about, I think what I heard, and if I misunderstood anything, correct me. That it felt really good for you to like have your sort of like compass, your internal compass, but that the compass that you have and like the way the authentic way you have of being then creates a bit of a clash with your family, which results in a moderate amount of pain, like some things that don't feel good. Um, and I think that um I don't associate hope with like and this may not necessarily speak to like, I don't associate alignment with being pain-free. Like right. Like you can be in alignment and be in the right place and it still feels like shit. You just know that you're doing
Yeah,
your
and then that's where doubt comes in, and you're like, am I doing this right?
Yes,
I
yeah.
want to be in this much pain.
Yes,
Why would I want to do that to myself? I don't want to abandon myself. Yes.
right.
But
Um,
I think that's the journaling and the work, right? Is why is
yeah.
it so painful? So, and it's complex.
Yeah, yeah.
But keep going. I wanted to hear, you said pain.
I think that was kind of like when we're talking about or when I'm talking about like hope or something like that, I guess it's like it's not like there's going to be the absence of grief. And it's not like I don't know, it's not like the absence of all the other things. It's sort of like I think about, for example, joy. I think about joy as like the biggest emotion kind of. And then everything else is allowed to live integrated within it. But I think sometimes people can maybe feel like, if I have one, then I'm not supposed to have the other. Right. So
Mm.
it's like you can be oriented to hope and still feel pain. You can be oriented towards your purpose. Yeah.
Well, I think you can be called bipolar if you experience a lot of pain and can go deep with the pain. But in my experiences, because I can go so deep with the pain, and I call that being stuck in the tar pits, right? Like woolly mammoths die down there. That's when people commit suicide or whatever, right? But because I can go down there and feel that intense pain, I can feel the intense joy. Had I not been able to experience the woolly mammoth and being in the tar pit, I wouldn't be able to experience unconditional love and joy, in my opinion.
Well,
But emotional intelligence, I can have it now because nothing's charging me, right? But boy, when I'm charged, that emotional intelligence can seem like I don't even know. Yeah, so it's a fragile system to use because it's not respected in the family I grew up, and I'm just going to say that because I think there's other families in the United States, but I can just say mine. It wasn't. It's not honored, and those people that look like they have a fancy car and a fancy house look like they're the smart ones and think they are the smart ones when really the emotionally intelligent people are feeling all their feelings and pains in the family. That's the role that they can be born into. And so to break away from that can be a lot more complex and challenging for the person who is emotionally intelligent because they are told they are wrong and by these people that look powerful, right? Which is, so I guess I think of it as macro versus micro, right? That's what we're hearing in our government right now. That doesn't mean, I mean, yes, they have power and yes, they're influencing things, but that doesn't mean the true work isn't also being done, even though it looks on the news that someone's very powerful. And yeah, right. Anyway, I mean, my family also escaped from Austria and was Jewish. So, you know, I am quite aware how powerful and the effects of a powerful person in the government can occur.
Alice, can I toss it over to you for your thoughts or things you want to chime in and
Yeah,
share?
I was just gonna say, Heather, you missed the last talk, but our last speaker was talking about how the dark and the light are both on the rise. So that's one thing I want to offer. The other thing I want to offer is there are norms in your family and there's a way that you are and they don't match. And what would it look like to take that emotional intelligence and bring it to building a bridge?
Oh, I think that is what I do. Yes, I'm learning those skills.
Yeah, you're learning those skills. Yeah.
But for me, younger, it just seemed better to go away.
Yeah.
Like it felt powerless and hopeless, all the things I hear and are from other people as well.
Yeah.
So and not react, right? That's
And I guess I'm gonna talk over you slightly.
Oh yeah. So
When I find that I'm making a generalization about other people, it usually means that my emotional skills are not up. I'm not using my emotional skills to their full extent, right? Like you've got some skills. How could you use them to complexify your picture of your family members? How could you use them to find out what really bothers them about the way you express yourself? Because it's probably not that they hate what you love. They probably hate something totally else. So yeah, that's what I would offer is like bring those skills to the situation.
Yeah, and recently I've been able to have some successes with that. And but it is challenging because they say they don't want to talk about the past. And what I hear and discover is how they have resentments of choices I've made and things I've done, right? Like, so it's like a double bind a little bit. So that's where
Well, it's just it's a new opportunity to do work. Like, you did the work to come into the conversation. Now you have work to do with what actually came up in the conversation, right? So.
Yeah. And then, so I think Brian was writing about, the nervous system and polyvagal and all that. So yeah, it's like being able to have the intense experience, which, I mean, being born is traumatic. So, everybody has trauma. But so our, what am I saying? Obstacles in life are these things, and that's what's really challenging of what's kind of going on in the world, is because or in the United States, is, though it is a world issue, is half the people are believing a certain way and the other half is believing in another way. So
Yep.
I'm trying not to say my way is the right way and their way is the wrong way, right? Because that's what's more concerning me, is the us versus them and stuff. So yes, so try not to avoid instead of having the difficult conversations, right? Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't planning on having this conversation. It's like, well, I don't even know how to, yeah. So, but
well, thank you, Heather. Thank you for raising the conversation.
yeah.
So it is 3:43. Let's just see if there's anything else in the chat we want to maybe just read aloud, because I don't think we're gonna have time for another conversation. Yeah, not collaborating about a poster becomes so hard because it feels so important to everyone. They care so much, right? Like, these little decisions become so symbolize other things. And Janice is saying, thank you, met my need for looking for the good, even in difficult situations, and a deeper understanding of interconnectedness. Amazing. Any final thing you want to say, Meenadchi? Well, I mean, we have actually, doesn't have to be final. We could talk up to another 5 minutes, but anything you want to say at this moment?
I think what I almost might want to do, I wonder, Alice, if you're open,
Yeah,
if people have questions, if we can hold space for people to just put questions in the chat thread, and maybe we won't get to answer them or speak to them, but we can hold space for the holding of questions together.
great.
Yes. If people have questions, that you just want to have the question witnessed or collectively held, please share it in the chat so that we can just be present.
Right now, we just had a logistical question, which I answered, but is anybody left with questions, wonderings? Lynn is a wonder for catching my typos.
And I will say thank you for having me and also for people being together. It's really lovely.
And Lolly put, love the modeling of curiosity in present moment. Thank you. Yeah. And Let's see, we've got the link in the chat, ancestral baggage release. Can all grab that. And as always, it's always a good time to grab your VIP. Julia, did you put VIP in the chat? Let's see. Nope. Oh my goodness, now people are saying things. See how my thinking gets and keeps me stuck. Role of grief in keeping us present. Well, yeah, we might and may not be able to get back to that. You talked of pain. I'm concerned of the suffering of millions. Yeah. Always find myself wondering why universal needs aren't taught in school and how nonviolent communication is such a taboo concept. I didn't know it was a taboo concept. I know it's not used everywhere, but I've never had anybody say, don't talk about that. Very interesting. Yeah, so we've got that one like true question, the role of grief in keeping present. Do you want to speak to that, or do we want to just hold the intention, or do you want?
No, I'd like to just hold in space for the questions that are coming in.
Yeah, I really get that. This was really rich. It's always so fabulous to be with you. It was fascinating to watch you coaching because like your questions were so like, why'd she ask about Indigenous stuff? Why'd she ask about pain? I'm so curious. It was like watching my ex draw a cartoon. Like when I draw badly. When I draw a person, I draw the circle that is the face, and then I draw the two eyes and the mouth. Like I anchor myself in like what I think is going to be most essential. Whereas she'll be like drawing something and I don't know what it is, and it turns out much later that it's ears and an elbow. So that was really amazing. But anyway, so great to be with you. So glad you could come speak on this topic.
Yeah.
And thank you for everything you shared.
Bye, y'all.
Meenadchi.